I didn't know enough about Caylee in the pool. I knew that they liked it. I knew that Caylee loved the pool, but I'd never actually seen Caylee in the pool. And I was under the understanding that I actually had to move the ladder because Caylee kept trying to get into the pool and things of that nature. I believe at any point in time something possibly could have accidentally happened to Caylee. And if something accidentally happened to Caylee, I literally believe that Casey would have an emotional breakdown, a mental breakdown, to the point where I almost believe that she would take Caylee and put her somewhere and then tell herself a new story, a new reality of what happened to her.
Tonight, bombshell audio tapes have been released. They are police interrogations of 3 of the men in Mom Casey Anthony's life. We hear in their own words what happened around the time little Caylee went missing to Dr. Bethany Marshall. Bethany, when someone has a breakdown, you don't continue functioning normally. You don't go out every night, you don't party, you don't have the wherewithal to lie and have a complete farce 24/7, 365 that you've got a job at Universal. That's not what a breakdown is.
No, you're absolutely correct. Jesse Grund does use the word mental breakdown, and that implies a mental vulnerability, an unraveling. Maybe a mental breakdown is what we saw with the astronaut that drove all night in the diapers and then tried to get a hold of her supposed rival. There was sort of an irrational, chaotic aspect to her functioning. But no, Casey's out on a stripper pole partying and having a good time. She's not delusional, and she's not deluding herself even about her own spitefulness. She says, I'm a spiteful bitch, which implies that she knows that even though she didn't want Casey, she didn't want her mom and dad to have her either, and that is true malice and spite, not a mental breakdown.
Back to the neighbor of the Anthony family, Brittany Schreiber is with us tonight. Welcome, Ms. Schreiber. Now, isn't it true that Casey Anthony, after little Caylee went missing, invited you out to that hot body contest? Do you remember when that was?
I know it was between the 9th of June and the 25th, because from the 9th to the 25th was when she was actually contacting me about going out pretty much 2 days, 3 days a week.
How long had you all known each other?
I've grown up with Casey since I was about 5.
What do you make of all this, Brittany?
I don't know what to make of all this. This is crazy to me because I actually never saw this coming.
Who supported little Caylee? Who paid the bills and bought her diapers and clothes and food?
Well, I originally thought it was Casey, but until I talked to Cindy, I found out it was Cindy.
Were you ever aware that Casey Anthony was so jealous of her mother's bond with little Caylee?
No, never.
So it never showed?
No, not at all.
Did she portray to you as well that she had that job at Universal?
Actually, we never spoke. Well, we spoke about getting together a couple times, but she was telling me that she would work in the mornings and then I work at night, so our schedules were very different, but she never told me where she worked.
Brittany, the number of times she asked you to go out and party became more frequent?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Well, like I said, she was contacting me between the 9th of June and the 25th of June, and it was once, twice, 3 times a week, depending on the week.
Where would she want you to go?
To Club Fusion.
Did you ever ask her who was taking care of Caylee?
No, I didn't.
Did she ever?
I just assumed it was her parents.
Go ahead.
No, I said I just assumed it was her parents.
Did Cindy Anthony ever reveal to you that she believed her daughter Casey was hiding something about little Caylee's disappearance?
Yes, she did. The morning of the 16th when I talked to Cindy, she told me that she believed Casey was guilty of something and she did not know what, but she didn't care if it ended up with Casey being behind bars for the rest of her life as long as she got Caylee home.
Did Miss Anthony ever describe jealousy problems between her and Casey Anthony?
Cindy, yeah, she told me that her and Casey had issues with Caylee being closer to Cindy and that Casey was angry about it.
Did she reveal that she had offered to adopt little Caylee?
Yes, she did. That way Casey could live her life, go out as much as she wanted to, and whenever she wanted to return back to be a full mother to Caylee, she could, but Casey refused.
Did Casey become angry about it?
From what Cindy said, yes.
When was that offer made?
I'm not quite sure. I understand it was a few times, actually, but I'm not quite sure around the time period it was.
Have you seen a change in demeanor of Georgia Cindy Anthony during this time?
Cindy, yes, because when I first spoke to her, like I said, she was tore up. Like, she barely could speak. She couldn't get her thoughts together. I never saw George at the beginning, but now Cindy has had a complete change, yes.
With us tonight is a special guest, a longtime neighbor of the Anthony family, has known Casey Anthony since they were little children. We are playing just released audio tapes of police interrogation of 3 of the men in Mom Casey Anthony's life. Here is her ex-fiance.
Caylee loved that playhouse. That was like her own little house. She loved everything about it. She had her own little phone in there. She had her little kitchen set. I mean, she absolutely and totally loved the playhouse. Every time I'd go outside and play with Caylee, anytime I got the chance, right to the playhouse, every time. She spent a lot of time out there with her grandparents and with Casey. And I believe that Casey, if something would have happened to her, that would have been the first place that she would have put Caylee if she wanted to place Caylee's body somewhere. Could she have ripped off the wrong person there or pissed off the wrong person? Absolutely. Could she have become a drug user to appease Tony? She became a Yankee fan to appease me. And she hates the Yankees. She does things to chameleon. She's like a chameleon when she's with a guy. You know, Ricardo smokes pot. She starts smoking pot when she's with Ricardo. You know, my family's Christian. She started doing things in regards to religious practices with us to fit in with our family.
Mom blurts out something, kind of puts you in an embarrassing way. Can you tell me about that again?
Her and Casey started having an argument about something, and I stuck up for Casey. I just said, please don't do this while I'm here. Don't talk to her like that. You know I love your daughter. And then she immediately just throws Casey under the bus, for a very real term, just lays her out there. How do you want to be with somebody who's got no future? She didn't even go back to get her high school education. You know, she's got a job at a place where she doesn't really even make enough money to support Caylee. I'm the one supporting Caylee.
The 27th, Casey calls you.
Correct.
Worried about you.
Right.
Due to your situation.
Correct, yes, sir.
And she wanted you to go to Fusion.
Correct, yes, sir. I declined, and I asked her, first I asked her, where's Caylee? Why, you know, you're going to Fusion. At this point, I know that she had a falling out with her mother. Who's watching Caylee? And that's when she tells me Caylee is with the nanny at the beach.
Out to the lines to Cindy in Maryland. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Nancy.
What's your question, dear?
I would like to know a little bit about this Amy, her friend. How comes she was using Amy's car if she has a car? And who nowadays keeps checks in their car?
Okay. Let's go out to Nikki Pierce. Why was she using Amy's car?
Amy Huizenga had left and gone to Puerto Rico on vacation and allowed Casey to use the car while she was gone. By that time, Casey had already abandoned her own car, having her boyfriend at the time, Tony Lazaro, come and pick her up. She told Tony that she'd run out of gas, which we now know is probably not the case.
You know, I know it's crazy, but instead of borrowing someone else's car, there's always the alternative of filling up the tank. But that is exactly why she was borrowing Amy Huizenga's car. Everyone, as we go to break, we are taking your calls live, and I want to send out a special thank you to June Pace, my childhood Bible school teacher from my little church in Macon, Georgia, for sending me a set of matching angels, one pink and one blue, holding a little boy and girl.